Okay, welcome to a crash course in the DD20 as we have at Barney's. I've just turned the unit on, and this is the steps that I go through to get some sounds happening on it for myself. The first thing I do is hit these two buttons together, the tap and the tempo, because that turns on the display. The thing you want to watch for to make it in the simplest mode is that this little guy in here, if you can see that there clearly, just needs it to be a quarter note. Crotchet. That means that the repeats will go in line with this flashing light. You can do a whole bunch of other things, and if you hit this button you can see different configurations of subdivisions of that tap, but one you want to head towards, just to make it nice and simple, is the quarter note, which flashes at this tempo. Now you can adjust the time on how many milliseconds it is by adjusting this guy here, but most of the time it's easiest to do it tapping in tempo with the band. And the way you do that is it's not ready to do tapping as soon as it turns on. What you have to do is, like it says here, you have to press and hold for 2 seconds. So you hold this guy down 2 seconds, and then you see this light move from memory down to tap. When it's on memory, you can program up these for different delay settings, but just at the moment keep it simple. Just get on the manual for this, make sure it's on tap. That's the one we're going to tap with our feet in time with the drummer in just a minute. But before we do that, we're going to jump over here and have a look at these. I think generally just keep the tone straight up and down. There's different sorts of sounding delays, and probably the simplest one that I find easiest to use is probably like the analog. Some of them have a different sort of sounds. There's lots to say there, but I just picked that one to start with. Now, if you want just a relatively simple use of the delay, just to give a little bit of dimension to the sound, a little bit of extra length to your notes, but it won't really get in the way too much of things. What you want to do is follow the instructions I've taped on here. The basic kind of setting, these are the 4 knobs above. So in this one I just recommend to go to the standard mode, which is fine here with that knob there. And it says basic, about 330 milliseconds, and you want that symbol to crotchet in the corner. So if we dial this one around to about 330, that also gets us there. That's roughly it. And then there's 2 settings here. One says for basic, and these ones up here are what I've just euphemistically called the U2 sound, which is a bit more like some of the stuff that the Edge does, which uses a lot more repeats and a lot higher effect level, and really notice it very prominently. And you've got to know what you're really doing there with how to use that in a song effectively. It's a really good thing to learn, but we're not aiming for that just with this DVD. We're just going for the basic settings. So these guys need to be around here about 8 o'clock or so, and that just gives it a little bit of extra dimension. Let's see if I can. That'll do for the moment. It's just a bit hard for me to show it and play it at the same time. We'll see how we go. It's not really going to work, but here we go. Just where you can hear a note, you can hear there's a little bit of extra dimension to it. If I turn it off, there's still the reverb on there. Maybe if I turn that off so you can hear it a bit stronger. Just so you can see around here on the amp, the reverb settings there about 2.5. That's useful as well. If I dial that out, and this is the settings you've got, this is what you get. And then put it in. Doesn't sound like much, but by the time you play a few single notes, etc., it does add some dimension to the sound, and really well worth doing. It's very easy to put on, set and forget. Hope that's helpful.